everyone. This is Julie. I am the host of the You-est You podcast. And I just want to tell you, if you're watching this or listening, you guys are in for probably my most favorite episode, a very, very, very special treat, because today my guest is my very one and only baby, although she's not a baby, sister, Emily, formerly Reisler, now McAllister. All right, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Emily. I know and love her very well, but I want you to get to know her. She's awesome. She's a total badass mama. I want to tell you all about her and what she's up to. And then you're going to get to meet Em yourself. So Emily is a mommy blogger and natural light photographer. She lives with her awesome husband and 2 daughters in Southern California, my beautiful nieces. She writes about honest motherhood and the power of having an intentional mindset. Emily specializes in lifestyle, family, and birth photography. Her writing has been featured on Scary Mommy, Babble, Wedding Chicks, Newbie Parents, Ravishly, and The Bannery. Her photos have been reposted by numerous publications such as Self Magazine, Women's Health Magazine, Candid Childhood, Childhood Unplugged, Pixel Kids, Postpartum, and many more. Emily is fueled by copious amounts of coffee, super true, and spontaneous dance parties. You can find her at chasingmcallisters.com and on Instagram at chasingmcallisters. All of this will be in the show notes. But let's move on over. I want to introduce you to my sister. She's awesome. Welcome, Em.
Hi, thanks for having me.
This is so fun.
So fun.
So fun. Because, yeah, I'm like, I know how awesome you are, but there's a lot of things that you are doing, that you've gone through, that just so much wisdom that part of me is like, where the heck do we start?
You tell me.
All right. Well, you're wearing, for those listening, you can't see it, but Em is wearing a t-shirt called Empowered Mother. And I think it'd be cool to kind of start your experience and journey as a mom, like your You-est You as a mom, because I know you've just helped a lot of women in that area. And I certainly am still learning how to do that. So yeah, talk about what it means to be an empowered mother, what the heck that looks like, whatever you want.
Oh gosh. Okay. It's hard to know where to start. So for me, I think that just really embodies like just speaking from a truthful space and kind of being in acceptance of like the imperfections that come with motherhood, and then like sharing openly and freely about that so that they're so I can create a space for other moms who maybe don't, I'm really fortunate. I have a really rad, like awesome network of moms and a big community. And I know that a lot of moms don't have that. And so I know a lot of people, they go to like social media or read blogs to feel connected. And so for me, just sharing from like a really truthful, like I share really openly and honestly, but like typically there's always some sort of like solution or silver lining that I try to share, but just coming from a space of gratitude. And like, I've noticed that when I share openly in that way, it creates that space for other moms, especially those moms who don't necessarily have the built-in community that I have, to just be like, oh my gosh, me too. I didn't know other people felt that way. And to me, that's like super empowering to know that like I'm connecting with people in that way.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've noticed just with whenever you're sharing and pictures, so for those tuning in, you've got to check out Emily's Instagram feed because her photos are ridiculous, like so well done, so like captures the moment. And what I love is it's always very authentic and very raw. Like I'm thinking of even the photo you did recently. You were with 3 other mom bloggers, and you guys were, this photo was just incredible because it showed motherhood and what that looks like is like in a very real way.
Yes, I love that photo. That's actually, there's like a crazy story behind that photo. That photo was crazy. It went viral, which I've never had. Like, I've had photos get picked up and reposted, but it's crazy. And so I have, because of the way I share, I believe that like, whatever you're putting out there, whatever you're seeking, you're going to attract it. And so, and I know you believe in that, all that stuff too. In fact, like you kind of showed me the way in that realm of thinking, but it's true. And I've, in the last, like, I'd say like 6 months or so, just through like blogging and Instagram, I've connected with these other, I mean, there's all sorts of people out there in the social media world. There's so many different like niches for people to like find where they belong. But like, there's a huge mommy blogger community, and people are doing all different types of things. And I've connected with these other women who are also out there sharing really honestly, and sometimes like really, I mean, always vulnerably, but sometimes like the ugly, ugly truths of motherhood. And but connected with these other women, and we actually did a loop on Instagram about postpartum, and like like what our postpartum bodies looked like, and how everybody was so different. And the hashtag was "This is postpartum," and it was like every single person represented a different like manifestation of that. And then other people who weren't in that loop have been posting. There's almost like 1,000 photos under that tag now. It's crazy. But anyways, I connected with these women, and they were going to this like Body and Love conference in Las Vegas. And I live in Southern California, and seriously, like kind of half joking, I was like, oh, I could totally go to that. And I ended up meeting these women who I had like met online, which was so like, you know, we grew up in the 90s and the 80s. Like there wasn't like, you don't meet people online, you know what I mean? But we instantly connected, and we decided that we would take a photo in these mom culture shirts that said mother. And it was just really rad. Like it's like been a really cool thing to connect with people like that. And I feel like the more intentionally I share, the more I connect with other people sharing that way.
Totally. Well, what'd you say?
I said the photo was pretty cool. I'm really proud of that.
It's awesome. I posted it. You can see it on M's feed. It's awesome. It's got a lot of power to it. It's got a lot of realness. And one of the things, I mean, you know, I'm a mom of two, a lot of listeners, even so those listening in, if you're a mom or you have nieces and nephews or kids that you're around, but especially if you're a parent or father, I gotta say, I had no friggin' clue what the heck I was getting myself into. You know, all of our kids are awesome, and also children. Oh my God, so funny. Mom is calling right now. Oh God. So we'll come back to that. Everyone who's listening, we have a mother who is she's very loving, and she has good timing, sort of. I knew it. I'm like, she's going to call while we're doing this. It's just making me laugh. But we're so lucky because she's here to call. So it's a good thing.
Yes.
I just, you know, I'm a little bit older. And when my kids were younger, I didn't really, Instagram wasn't what it is now. Like I didn't have that kind of support. And I'll say that I felt very alone at times, frankly, friggin' exhausted. It was the big thing for me. But that feeling of like, being in this, like, it's never going to end. I should be feeling different. I mean, I really struggled with that a lot. And that's one of the things. I think it's awesome now. There's more of the ability to connect. But what I love with what you post and share is that you talk about things that are sometimes the stuff like I just thought I was alone with. I did not realize there are others who would like cry and like pay a lot of money for sleep. That was my big thing with sleeping. Like I would have paid a freaking lot of money to have a good night's sleep for a long time. Really.
Well, and there's a lot of people, like it's cool because there used to be such a stigma against like, I mean, there's so many different levels of postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression. And like it used to be this like stigma of like, if you had that, it meant like you didn't want your child, which is not the case. Like for me, I had postpartum anxiety, which manifested in the way of like, I couldn't turn my head off. I was given opportunities to sleep, and I would like lay there and my head would spin and I wouldn't sleep. And it was just like, this only with my first, it was overwhelming. And so like, I didn't know, like, I mean, I did know, I knew that like eventually after a few weeks that I was like, I don't think this is the baby blues anymore. Like, I think like I need to call my doctor. But like now people are really talking about this stuff and like realizing like you don't have to tough it out. You don't have to suffer. There are other people going through this, and it's very, very common. Like it's like puts your hormones through like the rinse cycle. Like it's crazy.
That's so great.
And also like with motherhood, there's just like no preparing somebody. Like you cross over and you're in a different world. And I don't know how people, I mean, I think people probably, I don't know what they did back in the day. I guess they used the phone, called each other, or they just like, you know, put their head down and did the work. But we're very lucky to have different ways to connect now.
So I want to talk.
You're frozen.
Oh, I'm frozen? Oh no. Okay. Well, one of the things, so I'd love to talk to you about even pre-motherhood and one of the things I like to ask people that are really, I mean, to me, you're so living into your skills and talents and gifts and passions, be it photography. You even had, I mean, for those who don't know, like you got your whole background in cosmetology, hair, makeup. You're amazing at that. You're like a
useless hairdresser.
right? Like awesome writer. Like I'm a wannabe. I always said like I'm a wannabe good writer. Emily, my sister's actually a really phenomenal writer. But I knew it wasn't always, I mean, this didn't just happen. And, I always ask about like dips and doubts and tough times and getting to now. So I don't know, is there something you want to share, anything you want to share about like some of the more challenging moments that helped you to even get to now and where you are? I think it's important for people to hear that.
Like as it pertains to like writing and photography and all that stuff. I mean, or what do you like,
I would say like what, maybe struggles that you've had in your life that have helped you to be more who you are today, whatever you feel like sharing.
Okay. Is that your very unsubtle way?
Whatever that is.
Let's go there.
It could be moving to California. It could be,
okay. It
could be anything.
I love it. Okay. Well, so I feel like, I guess I'd have to backtrack, like to being like a kid, I grew up with you as an older sister who was very, walked the line. Like
right.
You could do the task at hand, like in a row and like come start it and finish it and like turn it in on time and all that stuff. And I think you were probably a pretty easy child for mom and dad. You liked to follow rules and just do what you're supposed to do. And then I came along. Probably if they had me first, they may have not had you because I was challenging. I was very distractible and I did not walk a straight line and a lot of energy as a kid, like just busting out of my skin with energy. And I think that like now, like our society is more open to like not putting people in a box. Yeah. But like growing up in like the 80s, like you were supposed to just like you go to school, you go to college and you get married and you do this and da 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 da. That's like all laid out for you. And I was like never going to walk that line, I don't think. Like I just wasn't put together that way, I guess. And at the time, like I didn't know that like there was nothing wrong with that. Like I thought like something's wrong with me. All these other people can do like what they're supposed to do. Yeah. And I can't. Like I don't know why I can't. I try to. And I think I like had that feeling of like I'm too much and I'm not enough, like at the same time. So which is like a really kind of a sweet place for like a kid to be. And so anyways, like that progressed and I was like I don't know, like I ended up, I'm sober, I just celebrated 9 years of sobriety, but like obviously I didn't like get struck sober. And so there was a long jagged road to that. And I think a lot of the I mean, it doesn't really matter why I like drank or used or whatever, because I think like my belief is that you're predispositioned. You are either an addict or an alcoholic or you're not. And I think that it doesn't matter what set it off, what triggered it. I don't even know what it did. I could try to trace it back to a lot of things, but I think one of the ways that I coped with like not feeling right inside or not feeling good was to like numb out using substance. And like, and it's kind of like first it was fun, then it was fun with problems, and then it was just problems. And so
sounds the fun.
No, fun like anymore. It stopped being, I mean, like it just stopped being fun. It was like, okay, like now I'm just getting in trouble all the time. And eventually like I hit a bottom with it all. And I went to a treatment facility, and it kind of, the way I see that was like, it put the brakes on like a freight train. And that was like, unfortunately, that wasn't, I'm not even unfortunately, I don't even like to say that, like, but that wasn't like the last time I ever like got loaded. Like that was just, it put the brakes on the way I was living my life. And I gained so much information about myself from doing that. I was there for like a month and a half. And from there, I moved out to Southern California to continue to like do that kind of work. And I wound up in 12-step, and I put a couple of years together. And about 2.5 years into my sobriety, I like was still struggling in some areas of my life. And I just like, you know, I share about this a lot because I still attend 12-step meetings and asked to share my story sometimes. And for me, like, you know, the whole like, if you're not familiar with 12 steps, a lot of people break down and simplify the first 3 steps is I can't, he can, like as in God or universe, so I'll let him. And it was like, I had this like very clear, I was in a meeting, it was like in a noon meeting, and someone was sharing on that. And I just had this like epiphany that like, I didn't believe that God or the universe or whatever the heck you want to call it, like could in certain areas of my life. I was like, it's never going to get better. I'm never going to be able to overcome this. And boom, that's it. And like within a week I was like relapsed. And so, you know, like that was like a really challenging time because now I had lived this like better life, being clean and sober and having a clear head. And like, I started to do like I started to reconnect. And this was obviously all before kids, but like I'd started to reconnect with my creative self. Like I was working in production. It was super fun. And I just kind of, things just got like dark, you know what I mean? And it was like, you pick up where you left off, but like, I don't know how to explain that, but yeah, so that was a really crazy time. And I eventually did find myself back, you know, getting back to meetings and getting sober again 9 years ago. And that's like a whole nother story. But in that experience of like, when I finally did start coming back, like when I first started coming back, like I was having a really hard time staying sober between meetings. I thought, you know, I had been in a relationship with somebody who was a really like crazy alcoholic. Like I was like, wow, he's so much worse than me. And it made me feel like, oh, I don't have a problem. He has a problem.
Right.
And then like we split up and I was still the problem. And it was like, crap, like I'm not saying like, it's not him. Like, yes, he's messed up too, but like water seeks its own level and so does sewage. And like, so like but then, so after about 3 months of going in and out, like going to meetings, then going to the bar, you know, I finally started putting some time together, and I like had this feeling like a spiritual experience where I was like, oh my gosh, like, cause I thought that God was like this like punishing entity that like, just when things were going to be going well for me, that like God would come and pull the rug from under my feet. But like the truth was I was pulling the rug from under my feet.
Right.
Because I was scared or because that's just what I was comfortable with at that point. And, but then after putting some time together, after I hadn't been able to put time together, I like experienced like grace, like, you know, and someone once told me that the definition of grace is an undeserved gift. And it was like, suddenly, like I'm putting days together sober that I couldn't do like last week. And like, I knew that there was something bigger at work, and I knew whatever that was, like, could not be like a punishing entity. I can't explain it. It was just like a knowing. And from that point, I like made a very conscious decision that like, I would put my like faith and trust in the fact that like something bigger than me was at work, and it only had my best interest in mind. And like and when that would pop up for me, when I would be like in fear that like, you know, things were gonna hit the fan or something, or that something was gonna come and take it all away, I'd be like, oh yeah, I don't believe in that anymore. I believe that like the universe like has my back, basically. So I don't know, that's like a very abridged version of, I think, what you were getting at.
Yeah, I know. This is awesome. Well, because I think just in interviewing there have been people on here that have talked about addiction.
Yeah.
But even for those listening, even if it's, look, I think that there's different kinds of addiction. There's obviously, you know,
Well, I can be addicted to anything. Like
exactly.
if I were to attend a 12-step meeting for everything that I could be addicted for, I would literally be at a different meeting every night of the week. And I don't have that kind of time. I have 2 small children.
You're like, I just don't have to do addiction too.
I get what I need going to like one group because I can substitute any word there. You know what I mean? Like whether it's spending, whether it's alcohol, drugs, food, sugar, whatever. Like I can like get what I need. I don't need to like, I'm not going to go on tour.
Right. Well, I think it's really true. I think for a lot of us, especially in our society, most of us are addicted to something. Now, different levels. Like, you know, I've talked really openly about food. That is definitely
right. And that's that's in our family for sure.
Oh yeah, we've got a family. We could do like a field trip / I don't know what to say. I mean, we've got some peeps in there who have some food addiction. It's it's pretty true. It's pretty real. Got like most everyone.
Most.
Yeah, we come
I
by
feel
it.
like it's so weird. Like, I feel like with our family, like some of the people in our family, like our huge family. I was like, no, some of the, not a very big family, but
Right.
like they have like food addiction, but like, I feel like they're alcoholic, but like they just don't drink alcoholically. I can't even explain it. Like it wasn't socially acceptable to be an alcoholic. So it was like
Yeah.
food. But I'm like,
Yeah.
if they would have like let go of that, not that I want them to be alcoholic, like if they would have like
Yeah.
let go of that, like it could have manifested in a different way. You know what I mean? It's just so strange to me because like you have all the traits.
Right. Oh yeah.
And like the crazy thing, like, I mean, we're talking about this obviously, and I honestly, like, it's funny because I share super openly about
Yeah.
every other area in my life on my blog, on Instagram. And I only have very just recently started talking about my sobriety. And part of the reason was like, I didn't, you know, I have a 7-year-old and a 19-month-old. And obviously my 7-year-old's in school. And I'm like, I don't want my kids to carry this burden. Like, this is my burden to carry. But then like I had kind of a epiphany about it. And I'm like, it's not a burden. It's like a wonderful blessing and a gift. And,
Totally.
and the only thing that's fueling me not sharing openly about this is like being afraid of being judged, or that people, you know, there's a lot of people out there who don't understand addiction. They think they have a different idea of what it is or who that affects. And I'm like, gosh, like, how am I going to preach that like I'm this open book and like leave out something that's so like a part of who I am and like a part of how I live my life. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. Like it feels really uncomfortable to talk about it like so openly, but like I also know that I have to.
Right. Well, that's part of the reason, you know, for everyone tuning in, because obviously I know your story, or my listening to you of it, but I think what's so awesome, it's so awesome of you, and I'm really honored because you're doing it. I don't know if this is the first place, but this is a place that you're doing that.
I know the first place.
Right. Well, everyone, you guys, you are, yay, we're the first to hear this.
Breaking news.
Breaking news on the You-est You. Well, it is like, I love what you said, you know, for me, God, everything I do today, who I am, this fire in my belly to help people be their best self, like, because I've gone through that, and it's a daily practice. I mean, as a daily practice, it's never going to end, but that comes from being in the depths of despair with food addiction. It
like,
might have looked, what do you say?
And like overcoming
it or recovering through it. And
don't you feel like, you know, where we grew up, right? Like we grew up in a town that's like, maybe my perception is so wrong, but like, because sometimes I think about it, I'm like, I have a story about the town we grew up in that like people are not alcoholic and that people are not food addicts, and that like I just like that people like the way I explain it to people is like, oh, where we grew up, it was very affluent and
overachieving.
Everybody looked really good on the outside. There was a lot of old money, and it was like this, not like if you're going to college, but where you're going to college. Like everything about like about this it was like pressure. And so I think there's like a big part of me that's held on to this like part of myself in a not going super public about it, is like I still have this like weird thing that like, oh my gosh, like I have all these people from Newton in my feed, like what are they gonna say, like what are they gonna think? And it's like, who cares?
Yeah, who
they're
cares?
Probably messed up too.
Oh my God. Well, here's the thing.
I just hid it really well.
Right.
I didn't hide it very well.
I love this conversation. I love it because you guys, this is why I have Emily on. I think we should do more. I think we should do like monthly talks, because this is so real and fun. I know we just decided that. Seriously, because I can say now, having interviewed a lot of people and working with different, you actually said it earlier. You said you felt you were too much and not enough, which is the same, you know, on the same thing, different things on the same stick. Like on one side, it's not enough. On one side, it's too much. And I think this is something most human beings experience. I don't care. And then for those who know the Newton, Massachusetts area where we're from, I mean, I joked that I was the only one out of like 20 of us who didn't go to an Ivy League school. Like that was unheard of. That's crazy.
But you went.
Kind of.
I know, your like 3 best friends went to like Harvard. That's so rough.
It's just not real. Like, you know, but, and I love them and good for them. And it's just, I think we grew up, I probably have a different just perspective because I'm a different person, but like a lot of overachieving well-intended people that really,
right, like, no, and I don't even feel like, I'm not mad about it. Well, I don't know, maybe
yeah,
now I'm processing, but no, like, I mean, there's a part of me that's like super proud of that. I'm like, man, there's like
yeah,
a lot of like,
yeah,
like celebrities that came out of our town, like people who, because the arts were so big in our town. So like people,
yeah, music
so
arts.
there's like a wonderful side of it. However, for a person like myself who did
Yes,
not fit in that box, it
yes,
felt awful.
of course.
Awful.
And
But
I'll
I
just,
mean, I also had some really like wonderful memories and have reconnected with some really great people
yeah.
that we grew up with. And it's cool to be an adult and be like, okay, like we're not like, we're all different people. You know what I
We're
mean?
all different people. Well, I'll just share, and for those, if you're listening, like wherever you grew up, I'm sure we all have our different lens. Like for me, it felt awful, but for a totally different reason. It
Right.
felt like not good enough. Like I didn't get into it, whatever the hell was in my
Yeah.
brain, silly stuff. And real. It felt real. Obviously, I love what you said earlier about, and I think this is something that's so interesting, because I know I've looked at and talked a lot about mindset or changing the beliefs,
Mm-hmm,
and you're realizing like, oh, wait a minute, the universe has my back. Like, wait a
mm-hmm.
minute. I love, like, I'm thinking of takeaways for people listening. Like, that's a place, like, you got to listen to yourself. And if you're saying, I'm going to be screwed over in the end, or I'm
Right.
waiting for the shoe to drop, and then you shifted it. I don't remember the exact words, but it was something like, it sounded like something like, yeah, no, that's not my belief anymore. And I think that's honestly huge. And what I think so even more amazing is you went through like what you've gone through to where you are now. I mean, that's really, to me, like, for
Well,
anyone.
even, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
Like,
it's inspirational,
well, and it's crazy. Like even, I would say even in the last, like, because where I went through to where I got like was huge. But then about, I would say like 4 or 5 years into my sobriety, I really started working on mindset. And I really started to know, like, I think you even were the one who was like, hey, like, just take note of your thoughts for a few days and then
Right.
like write them down. Don't judge them. It's data. And I have people do this. And then like, after a few days of collecting data, write down opposite affirmation, like write down affirmations. And that was like my starting point. And
Right.
also like I started to work with a mentor who was really into like metaphysics and like Abraham Hicks and Louise Hay and all that stuff. And so like, it was all at the same time. And like, that's probably why you and I even like connected about that. And like, it has been, I mean, I feel like I couldn't have the like spiritual connection or the like soundness of mind that I have today had I not gotten sober. Like I had to be sober because like putting substances into my body takes away my connection to like source, God, whatever you call it. And so that starting point was like, that's been, aside from getting sober, like aside from that, has been the most like monumental thing. And it's like super, you know how it is. It's like super imperfect and like you have to correct yourselves yet. And sometimes, you have to correct yourself sometimes. And then like, I also got pregnant in that period of time and had like a miserable pregnancy where like, I felt like I derailed my whole like work, but I didn't, but, and I don't know, that's been the hugest, like tool for me. And like, it's just so crazy because it's so simple, but like, I don't know why we don't teach it in school. Like, hey, like, guess what? Like your thoughts make your reality. And if you think like life sucks, I suck, this isn't going to work out, it won't. And if you think anything's possible, I am limitless, I am capable, I am worthy, everything's flowing toward well-being, like all that stuff, that's how your life manifests. It's crazy. And if you practice it, it doesn't have to be perfect, like, but when you start practicing it, like, and you get like little bits of proof, it's so cool. Like, it's really fun.
It is
It's like
really
fun to think that way.
Yeah, totally. What you think you become is what
100%.
you're saying. Oh yeah.
And like it doesn't take a whole lot. Like it just takes like, you got to keep coming back to it, like it's not like, I think that was like the biggest misconception. Like you have to give yourself grace. Like, okay, like I'm not going to do this perfectly. I'm learning something new. I'm learning how to think differently. How old are you? How many years have you been thinking like you've been thinking? Yeah. And then to decide you're going to like make a conscious decision to like change it, it's going to take some time till it becomes like second nature, I think.
Yeah, well, this is like my favorite subject ever. And we both have the same parents, and it's interesting, without like going way off base on that one. We recently had an event in the area that you guys were all here for. And I was hanging with dad. And of course, I'm like playing some book that's all about this. That's all I listen to. And he actually said to me, he's like, wow, wait a minute. Like, I guess it's something I should like maybe look at is my thoughts, could be about finances or business. I'm like, yes, you should. I gave him like 5 bucks. What was he listening to?
But will he? Like, that's the question.
Oh, yeah. We don't know if he will. That would be
Dad listens to this?
I don't think so. I don't think Dad's listening. That would be fun if he did. But seriously, I would ask him in his face, have you listened to the book yet? Because I know I told him about 5 times.
Which book was it?
Oh goodness, which book was it? I have so many of them. I think it was The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist was one of them. Something else too. Gosh, I mean,
You Are a Badass. That's a good one. That's
yeah,
a good starting point.
I'm a little like all over the place because I listen to like this podcast and this book and this.
I know, I love it. I love it. We just discussed. Well, I've been listening to like audio. What is it? Audible and like stuff recorded. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can quote unquote read something,
Yeah, you feel productive.
And now Mike, my husband, has gotten like super into it, and he's listening to like, he's like on fire. He's like ready to invest in real estate like today. Like he's like, he's like, our money should be making us money, and like and I'm like, yeah, I like where you're at. Like,
right. Well, it's all the realization that good things can happen and the universe has your back. I love how that's it. And
I mean, I didn't coin that, but like but
we use it. Yeah, exactly.
That, yeah.
All right, I want to ask you, like, thinking ahead, because so obviously, first of all, I think it's really courageous and friggin' badass that you talked about being sober out in the world. And I think I know people listening. I know there are people, if they're not having dealt with alcohol or alcoholism and or addiction, they know somebody that has.
Yeah.
Or everybody does. Oh my God. And I think what you have done and what you're doing now just is incredible. And I mean, we could focus on, alone, like I just want to tell people. So my sister does like incredible photography. And you also have gotten into the field or the area of birthing, of capturing births, not birth. Well, you have birth. You have birth too. She's in the
business of giving birth.
She's in the business of giving birth.
You're in the side job.
Side job. Make a lot of money with that. No, she's in the business of capturing births and the pre and the post birth. And that, holy mackerel, the photos I've seen, I'm just thinking, like, anyone listening who's like, I'm about to give birth, or I know someone who is, you're really good at this. Really good at this.
Well, and the whole thing with the photography thing is funny too, because, I always I think like we all can, I feel like everybody says this, but it's true. Like I always liked taking pictures as a kid. I always had a camera. Like I loved it, it was just fun. And I remember being in like high school, and like in order to take like the photography elective, it was like really expensive, and I just don't think we had like the money to do it. And at the time it was like, I don't know why I didn't ever pursue it. I think partially I felt like it was too expensive, and partially I probably was like, oh, I can't do that.
Right.
But like a few years ago, after, starting to do more work around the way I think and the way I talk to myself. And I can't remember if it was before or after. It might have been after, but I did a personal development program. I did the Landmark Forum. Yeah. And it's all about like living authentically and like putting yourself out there in a really authentic, vulnerable way. And I had gotten a nice camera for a birthday like a couple of years before, and I had been, taking photos whenever I could. And then like I had this thought, it was like this time of year, and it was like, I think it was like 3 years ago, maybe 4. And I was like, I'm just gonna like, I guess there's a part of me that's like, I would rather like try and see what it's like than to like I hate that feeling of watching somebody else do something that I want to be doing. You know what I mean? And so I put a thing on Facebook, and I was just like, hey, like, I really want to take photos. So if you want like holiday photos, I'll do it for $50. And it was like, it's dirt cheap. Usually people charge like $300 for like 20-minute holiday sessions, So people were stoked. They were like, I'll take it cheap. And people want photos of their family. And it started there. And even when I like look back on those photos, I'm like, oh God, like, I was just learning still. And the whole photography thing has just evolved so organically. And it's all because I was just like, that's one thing I'm good at is like, I'll try a lot of things. I'll just try. Like, I'd rather be a person who tries than a person who talks about it. you know?
Awesome.
And that's also part of like being in sobriety. I spent a lot of time sitting on a bar stool talking about the things I was going to do with my life that I was never going to do. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so talking about it and never doing it. And so,
Right.
I don't know. And I just have done a lot of, I'm self-taught. Like I joined a photo challenge group that you took a photo, like they would tell you a photo to take like every week. There was like 300 or 400 people in it. And then you would post and the people were so awesome. They would give so much like advice, like anything you asked, they want to answer about lenses, about settings, about, you know, how to shoot this, what were your settings on that photo? And just like endless Pinterest articles and YouTube tutorials. And I don't know, it's like, I feel like in the last like year, something like really clicked with my photography. I also upgraded my camera and lens because I felt like I was ready and like I had made enough money with my photography to do that. But yeah, I don't know. It's been it's crazy. Like I still don't even always, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a photographer, I guess. Like I don't even claim it. Like it's so, like I do, but like there's still a part of me that's like, come on, like I don't know what I'm doing.
Let's
and
claim it right
still
here.
so much to learn. There is so much to, like, it's never ending. Right. And there's some really like insanely talented photographers out there that I'm just like, I don't even know how you do that, but I don't know. It's super fun. And I'm like super grateful that people like allow me to capture important moments in their life. It feels like such an honor because it's like, you know, you're in their world. Like you're like going in their world.
Yeah, totally. Seriously, you got to check her out. I'm going to have all your info in the show notes because I'm very visual.
I have a photography account on Instagram as well. And I'll have you add that.
Yeah, we'll add that too. I mean, even so when here, if anyone listening, you have siblings, like we'll go to events or be things together. And it's like, my photo is sorry, not even that great. I'm usually like, it's slanted. The lighting is totally wrong. Like I think I'm dyslexic. I cannot figure out where the sun should be. You told me like 100 times, it doesn't matter. And then my sister, like we were at Disney last year and I'm telling you, you took this one picture and I'm like, what the heck? It was just with your iPhone and it looks like absolutely incredible. So you've always been, I think we're both very creative in different ways. You've always been really creative and artistic and had a good eye. And I think our world is based on visuals and seeing things and seeing people's lives. And so, I know you're awesome at it. I love the story of where you've come from, like from Barstool to I don't know.
Blogger.
What'd you say? Yeah, to the
blogger, but I was trying to think of another B word because I like another word.
To birthing, to watching the birthing. I don't know, to photograph the birthing. We'll come up with better wording.
From Barstool to birth master.
Yeah, she is the birth master. I will tell you though, that was the last pregnancy was rough for you. Man,
it was healthy. I was very healthy, but I was sick the whole time.
Yeah, you got sick.
I was like,
oh my God.
Like, Julie came to visit.
We had a conversation. She's like, hold on, and would like throw up.
No, like, I think like, I can't believe I'm going to tell this story. We were picking you up you had like some workshop. Wasn't that like Hal Elrod's thing you went to?
Oh, it was best year ever. Yeah.
And we went to pick you up from the train station in San Juan. And on the way there, I had to have my pullover so I could throw up on the side of the road, where I also simultaneously peed myself because of throwing up so hard. So then I had to like sit in my own pee to pick you up from the train. And then on the way away from the train, we had to pull over again. So, and this was like, I was like, 4 or 5 months pregnant. I wasn't like in the first trimester. It was like,
no, it was pretty rough.
It was rough. Oh, it was rough.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes. So I think this baby factory is probably closed.
Yeah. Goodness.
I mean, I wouldn't mind like acquiring another child, like foster care, adoption, but I'm not being pregnant again.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know my ship sailed a while ago. My kids are always like, come on, we want another. I'm remarried. They want me to have a child with my husband now. I'm like, there is no way you could pay me enough money to do that. I literally mean that. There's no way. So sorry. I have you. You're going to have to be happy with each other. And I'm lucky because their father has married a wonderful woman. He's a good guy and they have 2 children and maybe they'll have more. And I'm so happy for them. Like, go do it. That's not for me anymore.
I would maybe do it again for $1 million. You wouldn't do it for
Emily, but with her husband. So if you're listening, you're like, okay. No, we're talking like,
no, yes, that's not an offer. It's not like a bidding offer.
$1 million, she'll have your baby. No.
Actually,
Right.
I don't know that I wouldn't do it. I'm just kidding.
Right. We'll discuss later. Right. Now that you're sober.
Indecent Proposal, right? With Woody Harrelson.
Oh my gosh, we are so dating ourselves. Yeah,
Oh God, we are.
yeah, I know. Cause we definitely, it's funny. I sometimes think or feel like I relate to the millennial Gen Y. Like I think, and I'm like, nope, I may be inside lots of energy, youthful, but like, wow, we're really not if you look at the data, but that's okay. Doesn't matter.
Generational gap. Yeah.
Generational gap. Exactly. So, okay. I'm just curious when you were talking before, I'm just thinking of you, the bar stool, thinking of all these ideas. Now you're in it. What is like, if you were to say what really drives you, where you see yourself, where you'd like to make the biggest difference, like if you could envision for us, because I'm serious, you guys, you got to check her out, your photos, you're connecting with people, like you're a magnet. And I think you're a magnet in part because you're so talented and you're also so authentic and you say it like it is. And you got cute kids. There's a lot in there, but I'm curious.
You're pretty cute.
They're really ridiculously cute. I am not blonde we are sisters by birth, blood sisters, but I swear to God, you got like the cute blonde genes. I did not get that.
No, you got the like tan genes.
Oh, well, all right, this is
I know. Your ancestry has way more cool stuff than mine. Mine sucks.
No,
I'm so bummed on my ancestry. It was like the most boring, worst thing. I was like really hoping to have something surprising.
Yeah, there's nothing to
I'd be like part Asian because I don't know, I love sushi. I was like, maybe there's like a genetic reason. No, I'm like completely Eastern European. There's like not anything. There's nothing. And you got like Nigerian?
Mine was North African.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I wanted to be that.
And then Nigerian was 1%. I'm like, somebody slept with somebody from Nigeria, clearly somewhere in the background. I don't know. But yeah, North African. I was like, okay, cool. I think that's Morocco, Spain. I don't know. But that might explain I don't know what it would explain. I don't know what it explains, but it was kind of funky. I was like, oh, that's fascinating. I know. That
makes you feel more interesting.
It does a little bit. Yeah, I know you were bummed about it. You're very interesting. Okay, so
DNA is not interesting. I am interesting, but my DNA.
Your DNA is not. Okay, fair.
Like, man.
Right. So funny. Yeah, what, like if you were to just,
like what I want to be when I grow up, basically?
Yeah, what do you want to be? Like, where are you moving? What is the end goal for you? I know you really want to make a difference. What is that? What does that look like?
Right now, like on my short list, I like have a book that I have had in my head and in my heart for like a while. And when I was first had gotten pregnant, actually, I started doing some like outlining and working on it. And then I hadn't touched it in a while. And then I was like walking around telling myself or telling the world, I'm going to write a book one day, but just, this isn't my season. It's such a busy season with small children. And then I listened to that Jen Sincero book, You Are a Badass, or Jen Sincero, that You Are a Badass. And she was, I forget what she was talking about, but like she was talking about how she like, when she outlines her book, she gets like index cards and like all this stuff. And she was talking about all the stuff going on. I'm like, what the heck? Like, she was talking about like the stories we tell ourselves around stuff. I'm like, what the heck? Like, it's always going to be busy. Like there's never what am I going to wait till I'm like 70 years old and retired and I don't know. It's like, wouldn't be relevant anymore. The thing I want to write, the stuff I want to write about. But I'm just like, now is my time. Like, this is my time to write this book. So as an act of good faith, I went out and bought index cards.
Okay.
Which are sitting on my counter.
Nice. If you're thinking of writing a book.
What?
I'm saying for anyone listening who's like, I want to write a book, follow M's idea. Go get friggin' index cards. Good place.
Like, I felt like and then there's like this thing and this is the thing that fuels me in a lot of areas, like to put myself out there with photography or to start a blog or whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, the idea of like not writing this like makes my stomach hurt because somebody else will. Like somebody will write it. It won't be in my voice, but like there's a lot of like people out there having similar experiences. Like, okay, I have a belief like the people who succeed, the only difference between people who succeed and people who don't is that the people who succeed like just don't stop. Like you just keep going, you just keep like throwing the dart. Like you might miss like 20 times, but eventually you're going to hit that bullseye. Like you're going to get that sweet spot. And it's like, I think a lot of people get really disheartened like in the process. And I'm like really working on enjoying the process, even if it's like I fall flat on my face sometimes. It's like you learn from it, right? And then you pick yourself up and you go and you try again. But it's like, I don't know. I've kind of strayed from the question, but yes, that's on my short list. Like, is to just to write write the book. And I like feel like sometimes I have to bring myself back to that. Like I can get caught up in like the social media thing of like, there's just like a whole like mentality in that, and it can be really unhealthy. And I'm like, wait, what's my purpose here? My purpose here is that like, I want to write, I have something to say, and I want to write really like relatable, uplifting, inspiring, authentic, like things that like help people, that motivate them, or that help them not feel alone. And so like I know, and I'm like, I do have this like strong feeling that like part of my purpose here is to connect other people and to connect with people. So like that's like one of the ways I can do that. And so and I just and like long term is just like to really continue to learn how to like manifest stuff and create like a really like wildly abundant life, you know, and just
love it,
you know, live my best life.
Yeah.
Out here living my best life. You know, maybe yell a little less with my kids. I don't know. That's a good goal too, you know.
That's a good one. Well, I'm always on that one. Yeah, I know.
Nothing is more humbling than motherhood. There's nothing that will knock you on your butt and make you feel right-sized than being somebody's mom and like screwing up every day and then having to apologize and try harder the next day.
Right, and still have them wake up every morning wanting to.
They are so forgiving. Like they love you. They don't care. Like, and just like that makes it even worse. You're like, oh my God, I was such a jerk. Like, why are you being that? Like, why? Like, have I just like, are you going to therapy yet? Like, I feel like sometimes like things, you know, it's just frustrating. And sometimes I'm like, oh, this is going to be the thing. This is going to be the thing. She's like laying on the couch, like telling her therapist about my mom always did this thing. Like, you know, it's just, I don't know.
Right. We all did. Well, thing is, you do your best. I mean, shoot, I joke that I'm like writing the book to give my kids to give to their therapist. Like, here you go. I already know the issues. I've seen them. I've helped create off them.
I think like the goal for people who have like for parents is like, we're just like, okay, two things. We're just trying to screw up our kids a little bit less than our parents screwed us up.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to screw them up in a different way. Like, we just don't want to screw them up the same way we got screwed up. Like, like, let's bring on some new issues. We won't repeat the same mistakes, but like, I'll probably introduce something else that I don't know I'm doing.
Right. This should be a different episode. We should do one on the, like, the real deal of motherhood. Cause I'm telling you, that is probably,
everybody feels this way. Every mom, I don't know about dads. I'm not a dad. I assume a lot of dads do, but I feel like moms have a different, like it's a different thing. Like, it's like a guilt thing. I don't think most dads have that, like the baby's crying and like I like we want her to like fall back asleep and like my skin hurts and like I feel bad in my soul and Mike goes and shuts the door. So he can't hear it. You know what I mean? And it's like, what? Like, don't you feel bad? He's like, no, I'm tired. And I'm like, oh my God, I want that. Like, how do you do that?
Right. Well, if you start getting if you get into food and alcohol, you can have that. Not that he was. That's how I coped a little bit, but that's a different conversation.
With what?
I said food or alcohol. Mine was food. You know, you just numb out. Like, oh, okay, it's fine. Not fine. Yeah. This is awesome. First of all, I just want to say, like, humongous, you're a badass, awesomeness. I'm so honored to talk about your journey and who you are and how you've gotten here. I know we just dipped our toe in the pool, but there's so much good stuff. And
I hope so. I'm like, now I have that like self-doubt. I'm like, oh, did I like do it right?
No, it's so real. You guys can tell. My sister, like, this is the thing. It's like Brene Brown, you know, part of why
I just downloaded her book.
Oh, she's amazing. She's amazing. And what she talks about is what we're doing here, which is just real deal, vulnerable.
Have you read the one about being, what's it called? Like Dare to Lead or something like that?
Daring Greatly. Daring Greatly.
No, I'll tell you what it was. I'm going to look right now.
I don't know.
Oh,
but we'll find it. We'll put it on the show notes for everybody. But I
haven't started it yet.
She's amazing. Well, and this is the thing. It's like, you know, we're all here for a certain amount of time. Like, let's be real and help each other and support. And you are definitely writing your book. I mean, I know a few people who've written books. So if you need,
like you, I can't believe you beat me to the writing books. Like, how the heck is that? I'm like, Julie's written 2 books.
I know. It's like Emily's really the writer. That's the irony.
Emily's written 0.
Well, when your book comes out, I'm going to share it with the world. You guys will have, seriously, you guys gotta tune into M's blog. You're so naturally funny and good at writing. Like there are times I'm like, oh man, I wish I thought to say it that way. It's just really, it's right on point. And I think manifesting, I think it's what we're all here for, right? It's to be creators. And so, yeah, without like quoting Jen Sincero, which I just heard.
I know. I think we've name dropped her.
Like you're badass. I'm reading her. You are badass at making money, which you told me.
Jen, we think we're supposed to be friends with you. So
Jen, we love you. All right.
If anyone knows Jen Sincero, we got 2 friends.
Right. I always usually ask, like, what's your favorite quote or book? I think we covered it. I think we're good. I think we're good in this episode.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a favorite quote.
All right. We'll ask you this question.
No, I love quotes. That's my favorite quote.
Do you want to get to? Okay.
I love quotes by Emily McAllister.
Oh my God. All right. I think quoting yourself. What would be, all right, if you were to like boil it down, I think you said it, but I want to ask you, if you were to boil down and share words of wisdom that you feel like after all that you've been through, I know that you're about to hit your fun big birthday. We won't say which one. 20. She's 20. Turning 20. Yeah. What words of wisdom, what do you think, like, have you really taken away from everything at this point? I don't know, just share with the world. What is that?
I mean, I think like my saving grace, I guess like the thing that I would say that like, that I would recommend, or that I, not even recommend, that I would say like saves me on a regular basis is telling on myself. Because there's a saying, you know, you're only as sick as your secrets. And 9 times out of 10, the stuff that we spin out on in our heads is like way bigger in our head than it is in reality. Yeah. Sometimes it's big stuff, but like still like sharing your truth with somebody, and make sure it's somebody that's a safe person to share your truth with. But like sharing your truth with somebody takes the power out of it. And I find that when I'm holding on to things that feel big or shameful, or like, you know, if I don't know, just like little, I don't know, things that like are trigger points for me. If I hold on to that stuff, it like enables me to engage in behaviors that aren't really like self-loving, like, you know. And so because like I value feeling good and I don't want to feel like that, like it's worth it to have that like 2 minutes of discomfort of being really honest with somebody or vulnerable with somebody that you trust, to be free of it, you know? And so I think that's something, you know, I'm not like, that wasn't something I did by nature. Like we didn't have a big like open dialogue in our home about a lot of things. And by no fault, that was just the way it was. I think a lot of people our age like kind of had homes like that where you just didn't like talk about stuff. You just figure it out. You go watch like, you know, 16 Candles and figure out what life is about. I mean, really, like, where's Jake Ryan? Is he coming?
Or dirty dancing.
Yeah, like seriously, I really think like that's how, yeah, anyways, that's a whole nother, but because of like recovery for me, like because of going through that process and working all the steps, like a big part of it is getting like really honest about your life, which is like completely counterintuitive to a lot of people, because it's like, I'm not going to tell anyone about that ever. But it's like, no, like taking that opposite action and sharing yourself with somebody not only frees you, but it like frees them. It's like, okay, like they feel like they can be human too, you know? It's like that whole, like if I share, and that's part of like my whole motive for having a social media presence, writing a blog, wanting to write books, wanting to relate with people, is that like me, like opening that space for you, you know, to also say, oh my gosh, me too. Oh, I've been there too. Or like letting somebody else share with me openly. I feel like, it's like you become safe for people, you know? So I don't know. I think if you're a person who is closed off, like maybe ask yourself why and find someone to share with. I don't know. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm thinking the last thing I'll say with that is social media. It's funny because people are like, I hate it. It's horrible. I go, you can cultivate it to be whatever you want it to be.
Exactly.
And that's the thing with your feed, with your stuff. It's so genuine and
I mean,
real.
I can get to that place with social media. I can do the thing. We all do the thing where you end up down the rabbit hole. You click on this, click on this one. Now you're comparing
The worst.
your entire life to somebody's square. And like, it's just really important to know that like, first of all, even my feed, like I don't post pictures of my kids screaming and crying. Like I just don't, because honestly, there's a couple of reasons I don't want to. It is a highlight reel. This is not like, I mean, I write about that stuff sometimes, but like, this is like a second in a 24-hour day. So like when you see those beautiful photos, like a lot of times there's like crappy things going on, like before and after the photo was taken. Somebody's crying or people don't want to be in the picture. I don't know. I can definitely go there, but it's also like, that's why for me, it's important to remind myself like, okay, why am I here? Like, why am I even doing this? Like,
that's so great.
And then to like return to that. But I mean, it's hard. It's only natural. Like you're looking at pictures. So your brain is gonna like compare. Yeah.
I think that quote is, I'm going to have that. Don't compare yourself to someone else's square. That's so good.
Yeah. It's like comparing your insides to somebody else's outsides. It's like not an even match.
No, it doesn't even,
you don't know. Like the people in the picture who are perfect and beautiful and have like the big, beautiful, perfectly designed home and the beautiful dressed children and the beautiful cars in the driveway and all that stuff. They may be like miserable or they may not be. They may be that might be their reality, but like, you don't know. That's the thing. You don't know. You don't get to like, so don't make up a story about it.
Well, right. Or like you're doing, go inward, look at what you're saying to yourself and remember we can all have whatever we're looking for and we can be however we want to be. And that's the whole thing. It's what I love. It's like you become what you think you are and what you say to yourself.
Yes. And there's like this thing because I know you listen to Abraham and like, for me, like one of the most uncomfortable feelings that I just cannot stand to feel is like envy and jealousy. I just freaking hate being in that space. And it happens sometimes, you know? And I was listening to her, you know, because if you go to YouTube and you put in Abraham Hicks, you can search anything. You'd be like, Abraham Hicks, relationships, Abraham Hicks, alignment.
My toe hurts.
What?
My toe hurts.
Yeah, like really though.
Right.
You know, like, and she talks about, or they talk about how, like if you understand what jealousy or envy is, it's really just your recognition that like it's not about the person. It's like there's something that you have a desire in your life and you're not fulfilling it.
Yep.
And that person fulfilling it is just like that feeling of that pang is like just that gap. It's just a gap between you and like doing what you want to do. Exactly. And that actually really helps me as well, because it's like, oh, like I'm not a bad person for feeling jealous.
Yeah.
I'm not a bad person. Like I'm not a horrible green with envy type of person. You know, I am a human who's not living into something that I want in my life.
Yeah. It's awareness.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. I've listened to many on things like that. And the other thing for me that helps is just, I love seeing people that are just friggin', especially women entrepreneurs that are crushing it. I'm like, I want to be my version of that. Like that just shows me it's
ones who are also like giving it back. Like there are like women out there who are crushing it, who are in so much fear that they like are crappy to be around. And then there are women out there. I mean, there's guys like that too, I'm sure. And then there's the women out there, and there's a lot of, it feels like there's a lot of women out there right now though, who are crushing it, who are like so like they're
kind, genuine,
tapped in, tuned on, turned on. What is it? Tapped in,
tuned in, turned on.
Yeah. Like they're like, giving it freely. So yeah, I do think, I love seeing that too. I love it. I love it. And like, I think when you discover those people, like, you know, the Jen Sinceros, we're going to talk about her again, and the Brene Browns and the like Rachel Hollises and, you know, all those people, like
my girl Marie Forleo, I love her.
Yeah, like you're attracting that into your experience because you're like seeking it and you're hopefully being it, you know, I don't know.
Absolutely. Awesome. There's so much. I'm like writing all these takeaways and I'm like, I actually am out of paper. I'm like, there's nothing here. I'll show you. It's all written. I got so many good. Do you say I'm a nerd? Oh, a note. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's hilarious. Well, all right. This is awesome. Seriously. For those listening in, I love hearing from you what topics to cover. I really think we should do more sessions and talk about all these different topics. And I'll ask you listening in if this is interesting to you, or there's a topic you want us to cover, like let me know, because I think it'd be really
Or if they're like, never have her again.
No, they're not gonna say that. You're so real. It's not happening. And hopefully it was fun for everyone. This is so fun. I mean, come on. Yeah. We won't say how many years we go way back, but we go way back. Yeah.
I mean, we can say how many years. I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't care. I actually am so excited about my number because it's a master number. I'm turning 44.
Well, that's a good number.
It's a good number. And you're turning
40.
40. Yeah.
Actually, by the time this goes up, I'll be 40.
Yeah, I won't
right?
be 44 yet. That's okay.
You'll be like 5 days away.
Yeah. Emily and I are 10 days apart. Go figure on that one.
4 years and 10 days apart.
Right. I know. But I feel 27.
We were born 10 days apart. Our mom is a phenomenal human being.
She actually is. She is probably, all right, before we go, we'll do an ode to Helene.
Ode to Helene.
Ode to Helene.
Like, what is she?
Some listening know her, so they'll get it. Some
yes,
don't.
she is like an eccentric Mary Poppins / who else?
Well, yeah, Mary Poppins.
A little bit of Linda Richmond, coffee talk. A little bit of that.
Linda Richmond, yep. A
little bit of Mary Poppins.
A little bit of Amelia Bedelia. A little bit.
Bedelia. I don't remember what she did, but I'll just
did like cut the curtains when you said like I don't know. She just
okay. Wait, who else? Mom is like she's like okay. I'll tell you.
She's Stuart Smalley. She's Stuart Smalley a little bit
in the Stuart Smalley in there too. But when I was in high school, my friends liked to go around Mom when they were like not in the right state of mind because she was like really fun to be around for them.
Yeah. She's naturally on a high. Yeah.
Right. Like she's like Mom. Yeah. There's so many things I can't. Like there's too many.
Here's the one example. On 4th of July, it would not be weird to wake up at 6 a.m. with Mom busting out on the piano like every 4th of July Americana song.
No, not 4th of July, Saturday. Like Saturday morning, 6, 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And the piano's going. But then our friends would come over and we'd have like a full-blown sing-along around the piano.
Yeah, all the time. Sing-alongs, all the time. In the car, at the piano, definitely. Yeah, very good. All right, we'll sing next time. We're not doing it this time. I'm not singing.
We've gone a little bit.
Yeah, we've gone off the deep end. All right, this has been awesome. I love you.
Mom good. I feel like you should just scrap that part.
It's all right. I don't actually. Mom listens sometimes, but it's okay. She'll be good with this. She'll be fine.
Yeah.
She'll be fine. Lots of love. We love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
We love you. All right. Love you, Em.
Love you. Thanks for having me.